The B side of things.
With Jensen, Ali, and Anton.
Music and more.
Yay! As promised, we got the second part of the Faces and Airwaves episode. My name's Anton.
I'm Jensen.
My name is Ali.
And last episode, we talked about Jensen's new album and talked a little bit about podcasting from our guests. Now we got more. We got part two. This is more on the on-air and radio side. We got Sir Francis Reyes and Carlos.
Wait, okay. Sorry, Ali, ka muna.
Hindi, sige, go.
Ang dami kong questions eh. So,
Go!
ano?
Nagtaas ka ng kamay eh.
Okay. Pag may tumatawag na callers, tapos ayaw niyo i-play yung kanta, paano yun? Anong ginagawa niyo? Like, ano, kasi,
Well,
Sabihin mo na, okay,
we don't.
sure.
Okay.
Sure. Ako sinasabi ko lang.
Yeah.
Sure.
kaya rep,
Tapos,
paano
hindi.
pag malabo siya kausap, diba? Parang, anong sasabi nito?
May ano ko dyan eh. Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll line that up for you. I'll check it out.
Same.
The most
Okay
vague
na yun.
answer
I'll line
ever.
that up for you.
Hindi kayo nafe-feel bad? Sorry.
O kaya sabihin mo na play mo na para you don't have to play it again.
Right.
Kasi usually kasi wala sa database yung hinihingi nila eh. So,
Yeah.
wala choice talaga.
Pero minsan, hindi ko lang gusto yung song. Diba? Kung hindi mo gusto yung song, parang,
Gago.
can you play some,
Now
Selena
we
Gomez?
know.
Wag.
Don't request
Yeah,
for
sure.
songs. Pag si Anton.
Holy grail na naman. 6 na minuto yun.
Yan
Do
po.
you
sa
guys
mga-
follow a playlist? Playlisted ba kayo? Yung your the songs that you hear, do you follow a playlist?
Na arts, parang categories sa mga,
Right.
parang,
So
Yeah,
yeah,
we play more
primary,
of the
global,
top 40.
secondary, etc.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Because sa amin kasi we would follow a playlist and we tried to explain to people, especially during weekdays na we follow a playlist. That's why yung NU107 ended up having the remote control weekend. So there's no playlist. Okay, anong gusto niyo marinig, i-request nyo. And ang pinakamadalas i-request Pantera Cemetery Gates. Like every fucking hour, someone's
Oh
going
my gosh.
fucking ask for it. So and then we write down yung mga requests so that para hindi umulit, because we're very conscious of repeating songs eh. Even if iba na yung DJ.
Mhm.
If a song was played like 2 hours before, you have another hour before you can play it again. We were conscious of at least 3 hours before you play the song again. So minsan may magre-request, tapos may tatawag, pwede yung Pantera Cemetery Gates. And then we'd answer and then we'd go, anong oras ka pa nakikinig? O kanina pa. O di ba narinig mo na kanina? Gusto ko marinig uli. Maghintay ka, mamaya uli. And because
I love it.
was a rock station, we, when we'd be on the phone, pag hindi kami mapipikon, we'd talk to them like that. And eventually some of them understood, became regular callers. In the beginning then, we were beginning to chat with the listeners then, and then we'd explain din na kakatapos lang yan. Wala ba kayong ibang alam na kanta ng Pantera bukod sa Cemetery Gates? Ask any NU DJ. That will be
Cemetery Gate.
their example. I kid you not.
Ayun. Medyo napapasarap yung kwentuhan natin about radio. Pero let's dive further into the airwaves naman, on the other side of the spectrum. How did you transition from becoming a radio DJ into starring or hosting your own podcast? Sir
Starring?
Kiko.
Starring.
Oh,
Starring. Bold yan.
Starring talaga. Because time is
Honestly,
gold.
Ready for mature roles.
time is gold when
Watching bold.
yan kay Jensen ko napulot yan.
Sa opisina
yung
namin.
tagal ko hindi naririnig until sinabi ni Jensen, sige lang ya.
Who calls it bold? Sorry.
Transitioning to this thing, it took me forever. Actually, I only started last year. And the reason for that is I spent a lot of, most of my professional life, I spent I'm still spending with the Don, and spent with NU, and having that show yung In the Raw, where I was asked on I would deliver my opinion on artists and whatever, and then I even had a show called the New Album Review, and because everyone in the staff said that I was the most opinionated though, might as well have a show na ganyan ganyan. And to tell you honestly, after NU shut down, I didn't really want to get into broadcasting or radio, because I spent so much of my life there. Yung nakatali yung ano yung those guys were family. NU was family to me. So it felt weird for me if I went to another station, because I spent you know um even if I was gone for about 5 or 7 years, they were family to me. So my radio thing is tied into this idea that I was doing it with family. Even if marami ng DJs na dumaan na would come and go, I was attached to that idea that it was family. So I mean, I did talk to Eric of Jam 88.3. He asked me if I'd be interested in doing another In the Raw type of show after NU shut down. And I've had friends who would go, I have connections with this FM station. Why don't you do that? And my answer was always no. Not that I didn't enjoy being a radio DJ, but because yun nga, masyadong nakadikit dun sa the idea of NU, and then everyone would also go, oh, why don't you have an online show, like, for example, why don't you share, if not your opinion, guitar lessons or whatever, like what Perf De Castro is doing. On that angle, masyado akong tamad for that. And Perf and I have talked about it eh. After nag-guest ako sa Perf Talks niya, he privately he told me he was getting stressed out. I mean, sa YouTube may plaque na siya, and dami na niyang followers and whatever. But he is his own editor, right? He's editing the audio, he's editing the video and everything. And at one point he did say, last year, he said, nababurnout siya, because it started out with he wanted to share guitar lessons, music lessons, and whatever, and then it became this really serious produced thing, which it has to be like what you guys are doing, right? So I resisted for the longest time, and the only reason why I did this toast or roast thing is because there were other people who are going to handle the production side of it. So yung co-host ko, si Kay Marvilla, used to be an NU107 DJ. Her husband, si Briggs, was the one who said, don't you want to do this? Because nagka-online reunion yung NU107 jocks last year, a few months after this whole lockdown bullshit happened. The response was really good. Most of the response, of course, everyone was like, kailan babalik yung NU, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. But I think a large portion of the people who reacted were also saying, ay, pwede na uli mag-submit ng demo. So they were like, look, Briggs and Kim were like, look, we think obviously there's a demand for NU107 to come back, but there's a demand for what you did, yung show that in the Raw, giving my unfiltered opinion. Well, medyo filtered din naman, because hindi na ako namemersonal ever. It's always very objective, because there's nothing worse than someone telling you na, ay, wag ka na mag-music, magbenta ka na lang ng fishbowl sa, that. Being a musician, I never went there. So they were like, there's value. They believed in the old show's format, so they were like, why don't we do it again? And I told them what I just told you guys. For the past 10 years, everyone has been asking me to do that na, do a show like In the Raw, ganyan. And I said, but it has to be different. Look, I'm an older guy, and who wants to listen to the opinion of an old guy right now? Because democratized lahat right, with music and everything. You don't need a critic, you don't need an editor. At least everyone thinks like that. I believe in curation, I believe in editing, I believe in critiques, because I'm old school that way. and I didn't think anyone was interested in that. But it turns out that there are people who are still interested in that sort of thing. So that convinced me to to do it after 10, 11, 12 years of not wanting to do it for whatever reason. And so yun. So I ended up with Toaster Roast. Yun.
Mhm.
Sorry, it's a long
Grabe,
story, but
11 years in
Raw
the
version
making
to
pala
package.
of trying to convince yourself to
Mm.
actually do a podcast. Grabe.
yeah, because ano rin eh, I'm also aware of over the years people have been even if with bands na na critique ko na with that old show before sa NU, and like si Jensen kilala ako eh, right?
Mhm.
But if you don't know me and you hear me on radio, and syempre wala pa yung, there's no cameras or whatever,
Mhm.
boses lang, and I do have this sort of deadpan voice, and people think I'm not interested, wala akong pakialam
Yeah.
dyan, which is furthest from the truth. And then when I be very critical, there would be people na ma-offend sila, even if it was nothing personal, right? And I trust me, I've had so many friends who in the past 10 or 11 years would say that they used to really hate the idea of me. Because
What?
dahil yung sino ba tong gagong to, yabang-yabang, kala mo kung sino magaling na musikero and all of these things.
Love
And
it.
then they got to know me, and then they realized that whatever criticism that I put out is the same sort of criticism that I give to myself as a musician.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But it took that na makilala nila ako, maging barkada ko sila. We didn't even talk about the guestings and whatever, and we just talked to each other like musician to musician, artist to artist, or whatever. And that was also one of the deterrents because I didn't like being misunderstood that way. There were people who appreciated it, and there are people who eventually appreciated it. Pero yung to have people hating on you and you not knowing that yung nilalabas mo pala is nakakasakit pala ng damdamin, I really wasn't aware of that. You know, it's not that I was callous. It's more like, okay, wala sa tempo yung gitara with the drums, or the vocalist is pitchy, or the melody, there's a melodic contour but there's no hook. The arrangement is ganyan 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 ganyan. So, and I think if anyone who gets the chance to work with a producer in a in a recording studio will get exactly the same thing, and even worse actually. Jensen knows
Mhm.
this. Mas
Yep.
malala pa. So eventually, a lot of people understood, the ones that ended up recording in studios and working with record labels and all that. Eventually, they got it. That actually I was nice compared to what they went through.
Hindi,
So
You're
yeah,
just soft.
nakakatakot talaga si Kix dati. Tapos nakilala ko siya, tapos parang, okay pala siya. Kasi yun talaga
yeah.
agad
I
eh.
mean,
Totoo yung
that's it.
sinasabi mo eh.
I don't know. I really I don't.
Mhm.
It's weird to me that people think I'm nakakatawa. It's really weird.
Mhm.
It
Pero
Mhm.
feels weird to
that's the
me.
best type of mentor to have, 'di ba? When you're
Mhm.
very critical of the person that you're mentoring, that's the best type of mentor.
Yeah. Hindi,
Yeah,
tsaka
and
kasi yung experience dun kasi like yung years that Kiko na meron si Kiko with playing
Mhm.
music and creating it. Plus, ah, short kwento ulit kasi nung magka-opisina kami ni Kiko, minsan tumatambay ako sa bahay niya dun sa yung
yeah,
lumang
yeah,
bahay. Sobrang daming CDs, sobrang daming DVDs about music.
yan
Yeah.
sa likod.
Tapos para kang ano, hindi pa yan yung lahat, Kiko, marami pa
Yeah,
yan.
yeah, yeah.
So, as in, tapos sobrang bait ni Kiko kasi parang para akong bata sa candy store na sabi niya, sige, kuha ka lang, hiramin mo. Ganyan. Para ganun siya, hindi kadamot. So parang nung na-realize ko na, di pala nakakatakot si Kiko, mabait pala talaga siya. Ganun lang talaga yung boses niya. At saka,
Yeah. At saka, and minsan,
It's the voice eh.
maybe it's also my eyes, because I was born.
parang masungit lagi si Kiko.
Yeah, pero
RBF.
Jensen knows me very well na um
Totoo yan.
basta
Kasi hindi
basta
lahat...
bastos na jokes. There are people
Yun.
close to me who probably are not aware of how bastos my jokes can get.
Yeah.
That is the way into your
that's
heart.
just
And
the way I am.
more on that later.
Yeah.
Quality content, boys and girls.
Sorry, haba ng kwento. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay lang, Sir Kix. Ano, Carlos, ikaw naman. How did you transition into doing a podcast?
Transitioning. Okay. So last year, we're living in 2020 season 2, diba? So
Season 2.
nung season 1, um, in May, I actually planned to start a podcast already
Mm-hmm.
because I remember back in the day, back in my college days, I used to have a blog. I blog a lot. I had one on Blogspot, Multiply, even Tumblr. That's a Tumblr. Hindi ako yung tipong nagige-blog lang. I actually wrote on those. So it was a different time back then. That's just where I let out all of my teenage angst. Tipong, di naman yan, di siya nag-reply, mga ganun bagay. Then, of course, just a reference to NU107, I'd always listen to Wolfgang while I do that, which is very therapeutic. I love it. So I figured last year around May, why don't I bring it back, but this time in a different format? Why don't I try a podcast? So it was kind of tough in the beginning because since everyone had already started, kasi ang dami bigla eh.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone and their grandma has a podcast now, diba? So it was hard to find a name first of all. So I had to, come up with all these things involving wordplay, mga ganun-ganun. So I came up with my first attempt, which was Relate Night Feelings, which was supposed to be just me treating it like a personal journal. Bale. Kung ba, I didn't have any plans to monetize it or to gain a following. I just needed something to keep myself sane. Because at 2020, it was fucking wild. Diba?
Yeah.
Just stress tayong lahat eh. So I needed an outlet because yeah, shit was getting real. Now around July, FM1, yeah, our station, they were pushing for additional content. And one of those was a podcast. So syempre, ayoko naman gamitin yung podcast ko kasi dun lahat ng feelings ko eh. Ayoko namang yung personal shit ko eh madadala ko bigla sa work, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
So my friend and I, my co-DJ, si Zach, Ali knows him too. We came up with our own podcast at the time, which was Chances Are. Our main plan for that was we were going to talk about different social topics, different topics involving people, and the main punchline of the podcast was going to be, oh, no, 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 chances are you're an asshole, or chances are you're just doing it for the popularity. Something like that. Kumbaga, we'd have this long just talk, just throwing ideas around, talking shit, all that. And then, kumbaga, yun yung end point namin na parang, okay, you're doing all of this is happening, you're having this kind of behavior, so I guess chances are you're this and this. That's what we did for the most part. Of course, we
Mhm.
had the resources of the station, we had the equipment, but we were kind of limited kasi ang binigay lang sa amin was around maximum 25 minutes, which is really short, diba? Especially if you're gonna have a heartfelt conversation na talagang talagang itatrash talk mo lahat ng tao, diba?
Mm-hmm.
Medyo ano yun, medyo limited yun. So, we had around 13 episodes on the station's channel, which was the Republicast. And eventually, we didn't know what to do. Medyo ano kami, medyo kumbaga ano kami, medyo lost in the ether kami ni Zach at the time. So what we did was we tried StreamYard, and well, it was fun. Pero ayun, tulad ng mga problema natin sa buhay, internet. So siguro after ng fifth episode namin, it's a good thing though na yung chemistry namin ni Zach okay kasi may moments na bigla akong mawawala. Pero pagbalik ko, he's still talking about the topic. So kaya niya ako saluhin, which was great. I appreciated that so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we did 5 episodes of that, and then we just tried to brainstorm kasi medyo wala kami ulit gagawin kasi StreamYard was kind of shit for us and we didn't know what to do. So what we did was we took the brand, since wala namang contract or anything, we didn't sign anything. The name is ours. The podcast is basically ours. So we made our own YouTube channel, our own Anchor account, and I took a few of the, the greatest hits namin. But
Greatest
the ones
hits.
that got the most the best feedback, I guess.
Mhm.
And then I re-uploaded five of those as like an initial series, which my friend Zach calls the pre-cum series. So anyway, yeah. So na-upload namin yun. While we're yes, I guess you guys want to know what the
Yes.
season premiere was called, right? We call it
Ito na yan.
the Bukaki series.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
God.
Oh my God.
so anywho, going
Diyan na
back to
nakala ko bastos ako eh.
Wow, dude.
Pwede, wow.
okay,
Anyway,
sir,
sorry,
sir,
sorry, man.
akala ko rin sir wholesome ako eh. Okay lang.
Ito na
Okay.
yan.
So going back to wholesome stuff, ayan.
Mhm.
So, syempre, we did that weekly, so we had time to plan for our new season, which was technically season 3. I just named it season 3 na lang. Pero wala kaming nilalagay na season just for no confusion.
Mhm.
And what we did was we separated the tasks because it's a two-man job. Eh. For Zach, he was the one booking the guests and doing the roadmap. He planned the episodes per week. Kung yung topic namin, kung ano pag-uusapan. And I did the technical stuff. I would manage the social media. I'd edit the episodes. So I made sure to make things easy. So Zoom, tapos Audacity, bam, ayan, okay na. So we were able to come up with a format where we'd have guests. So it was our first try. And the feedback, of course, syempre, kumbaga bagong format din, medyo di pa kami sanay.
Mhm.
So the feedback was more good. Of course, some of my other sources, they had their own nitpicks din naman, which I appreciate and I acknowledge naman. But it was great because we were able to get different people to talk about different topics. So we had one influencer who was able to talk about influencing, kumbaga, about kumbaga sort of kumbaga backstage pass sa mga ginagawa ng mga influencer, 'di ba?
Mm.
Kumbaga kung ba totoo ba to? Parang do they buy their likes, their views, mga ganun.
Oh, the shade.
Oo, yung mga ganun. Of course, without naming any names, kasi lawsuits. And then,
Name drop, name drop,
and then
name drop.
next episode, we were able to talk about astrology kasi a lot of people dalawa yung very divided yung mga tao. It's either they talk shit about astrology or they subscribe to it. Kami naman medyo middle ground. I like to have fun, reading my horoscope. Oh, this happened today. It was a horrible day today because it's 2021. So everything makes sense, diba? So we were able to get of course a very legitimate licensed psychometrician to talk about the aspects of psychology and astrology, how people use it either as their guiding path, or how they use it as either a coping mechanism or just something something that helps them sleep at night. It was fun to evaluate that.
Mhm.
Then we got someone who advocates body positivity. She talked about how there's discrimination, how people still manage to stay healthy. It was also a very educational episode. And then one of our spiciest episodes was a sex positivity advocate. We can name drop her. Si Seitioko. We're able to get her. And it was a fun episode. We just talked about dildos and why it's not bad to watch lewd films. Bakit hindi masama ang bold? Mga ganun bagay. It was
Time is gold.
of course, we had our fun, but at the same time, we make sure to bring it back to educating people about this particular topic, because we live in a country that's very, very conservative.
Mhm.
Baga, anong sex, masama yan, puro kayo kamunduhan, mga ganun bagay, diba? So we wanted to more or less open people's minds towards it. And lastly, we got one of our friends, a common friend namin ni Ali, si Rom. He's a frontliner. He's a nurse at PGH. And we just wanted to end our mid-season. It's our mid-season, basically, talking about his experiences basically working under the stress of COVID-19. So his experiences in the hospital, what he hears about, these people, how they talk about how COVID's not a real thing, how it's a conspiracy. Kumbaga the close-minded people, how kumbaga it was nice nga kasi at the beginning it was more education. Parang okay guys, do this, stay safe, tips from your friendly neighborhood healthcare worker. And then it became more of a therapy session. He was just letting all out all of his stress. As in it was very nice. It was very educational, very eye-opening din. Kasi
Mhm.
also, we are aware of how people are sa mga hospitals, how they work. But at the same time, we don't really know how kung gaano kagrabe, 'di ba?
Yes.
So that's basically how our podcast went. Yung sa akin, it's just gonna continue as a solo thing, mostly a personal journal, just
Mhm.
me letting out my feelings. The Ali, it's the Ramble Rouser podcast, Ali.
Nasabi din.
Yun.
Ay, sorry na
So
kasi.
yeah, so it's fun. It's if you're working with the right people, if it's something that you want to keep on doing, if you're consistent, walang
Mhm.
problema. It's all fun. That's my take on it, basically.
So, do you prefer doing a podcast by yourself or with a partner?
Actually, it depends on the workload for the week. Kasi
Oh.
mostly, diba? Mostly it's something that I do. Sinisingit ko siya sa schedule ko eh.
Mhm.
So if I have a really really okay week, walang problema. But you mean in terms of like the dynamic, yung pag-uusap namin, ganun? Or of course with a
Yeah, like,
partner. Masaya pag may partner ka because may kabatuhan ka eh.
mhm.
Kapag solo lang ako, just me, like, oh, this dude, shouting at the moon, galit sa mundo, ganun. So it's yeah, pero it has its pros and cons din naman.
Mhm.
Kasi if it's just me, I could choose whenever I want to record. Kahit di ko siya ilabas, wala akong pake. Monthly, sige, 'di ba? But
Mhm.
with a partner, kumbaga, everything has to be organized. Everything has to be in order. So pros and cons lang naman. So it's all good.
Well, since you're fairly new in like the
Mhm.
podcasting industry, what is like the best tip that you would give to someone who's actually like looking into making their own podcast?
Okay. All right. So personally, just two things. One, just ask yourself why you want to start it. Kumbaga, if is it something you want to do full time, something you
Mhm.
want kumbaga, know your intentions behind the podcast. Is it something you want to monetize eventually, something you want to make a career out of, you want to go full time,
Mhm.
or is it just a hobby you want to do? Either way is fine as long as you're having fun doing it. So I guess just know the intentions behind it. And number two, research. Lots and lots of research and learning, especially with the equipment. Ayan, grabe yan.
True.
Trial and error yan. Diba? So, kumbaga, especially if you're on a budget, it's very tricky but very fun
Mhm.
to really know what kind of equipment would work for you, especially with audio. It's just so fun to see all these shiny microphones and audio interfaces. And yung mic ni Sir Kix, ang ganda. Oh, AKG Lyra, ang ganda,
Hmm?
man.
Yeah.
That's kay Jensen. Eh. Is that an SM58?
Yeah.
See? Nice.
Hindi
Ang
kasi
ganda.
50 niya, Behringer yan eh.
Hindi. Yung Myco 58.
Sa akin,
Pang
Behringer,
gig.
sir.
Pero
Sa akin.
Behringer, saan mo magkano yung Behringer?
Behringer interface.
Mhm.
Okay, sige.
Yung
Tapos,
I
sa
stand
akin,
corrected.
Behringer, pang karaoke, di ba? But gets the job done, diba? So it's really fun to learn new things, especially if you're gonna be editing your own podcast, like
yeah.
tinkering with your DAW, your digital workstation. It's so much fun to learn new things, to
Mhm.
experiment, to to experiment with your design, with your branding. Kumbaga, I spent so many hours coming up with logos, Most of them were shit. Pero, pero at the end, diba, kumbaga it's a rewarding feeling if your heart is in it talaga, if you really want to
Yes.
do it. So I guess just know why you're doing it and just do your research. YouTube, all the forums you can visit, Reddit. There's so much you can learn from so many people. Yun lang.
Ikaw, Sir Kiko, like since it took you 10, 11 years to actually convince yourself that you want to do a podcast, would you recommend like a person who's like looking into starting a podcast to actually start a podcast? And if you are, what is the tip that you would like to give them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, ano, see, Carlos said everything perfectly. I think the first thing, the most important thing is you have to have fun with it, and you can see yourself having fun with it now.
Mhm.
And that's directly related to me not doing it for 10 years because I couldn't. It's you know now I get it, but
Mhm.
I could not see myself having fun with it because I saw it as work
Mhm.
and for the most part din naman um I'm not a multitasker, so if I'm at work, I'm at work. I can't. Well, I can't. I can think of other things while I'm at work, but I feel like I'm not being of service to the work that I have to do, especially if it's a day job. But that's just me.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because I'm old or something. But the most important thing is you have to have fun with it.
Mhm.
The other thing I guess is regardless of whether you're in radio or uh, or podcasting, or the most important thing I think is do you actually have something to say? Do you have something that you want to express? Um, because I think there's nothing more tragic whenever I hear people go, I want to be an influencer.
Uy, narinig ko rin yan dati
Oh my
Narinig
god.
ko na yan.
Yun yung gusto
Kasi
niyang work
sinasabi ko
kasi
yan eh. Ang dami
yun yung
niya
pangarap
stuff.
niya.
Because they're ano eh, they're saying this because mag TikTok video ka, there are a lot of people who are um doing these Kuela videos for YouTube and they go viral and whatever, and that's fine, that's fun.
Mhm.
And so that goes back to it has to be fun for you as well, but it's really 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 important that you have something to say.
Mhm.
um it doesn't have to be um the ultimate truth because nobody has that,
Mhm.
but at the very least it has to be what's true to you because no one can argue with your truth, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And you have to be sincere with that truth because kung mambobola ka lang, even you can't live with it. And if you're able to live with lying to yourself and being successful in whatever, can you imagine the emotional and mental stress and all yung pangongonsensya na you know but this is
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
If you're not being true to yourself with expressing an opinion or sincerely wanting to get an answer out of whatever big question that you have
Mhm.
for today, then then don't do it. If you're gonna do it because you know
For the clout.
for the clout or whatever, or for the chicks,
Ah.
or for the guys.
Anton. Anton.
Ganun yun, ah. Because there've been there was a time when I would be the one to interview potential new DJs for the station.
Mhm.
And again, I got into it because I love music, especially when I was growing up. The radio DJ was the steward, if you like, of the music. That's why pre-announcing and back announcing and giving trivia was important because it was important to me and to my fellow DJs because we love the music. We were fans of the music.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, pag may aplikante, okay, first the basics, yung the mechanical stuff. Okay, get a newspaper. Okay, read it this way. Okay, now read it this way. Now read it this way. I read it this way.
Oh, damn.
Then then the next question would be, are you a fan of the music that we play? No, no, no. I listen to pop. Ganyan. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Um, but are you willing to do a little bit of research? Because when you're behind the microphone, especially in format ng NU where it was really purely about music and whatever, um, the thing that I would tell them is you cannot, um, one, you can't pretend that you're smarter than the listeners, and two, you can't let the listeners be smarter than you. At the very least, kailangan pantay kayo.
Mm-hmm.
Because kung pantay kayo, it means that you're both fans. And actually, if the listener knows a little bit more than you, take that information and then broadcast it back. Put it back. Oh, you know what? I found out through so and so that so and so this and such and such and such and such. And when that happens, you're servicing the community. You're not serving yourself. You're not serving just the fandom. You're servicing everyone. Because
Yes.
truth of the matter is, if you're all fans, it just so happens that I'm behind the microphone and you're not.
Mhm.
But if we communicate behind the scenes and I share our exchange through my medium, then that's really good for everyone.
Mhm.
Hindi yung sarili mo lang yung mensahe sa sarili mo lang, right?
Yes.
And you have to be prepared to accept whether you're right or wrong.
Mhm.
Um, or if pag may gap, um, be open-minded enough to hopefully discuss it with the person who doesn't agree with you, right? So
Mhm.
yun yung malalim. Pero yung pinakamababaw is, bakit mo talaga gusto maging DJ?
Mhm.
And when people answer, oh, oh, because it's cool. And then there have been guys who would go, yeah, I bet you have a lot of chicks. May ganun eh. And I'm like, ah, shit, man, no. Fuck
No.
Not
no.
sure.
I
That's a
don't care.
wrong
Si
type of
Anton.
DJ. Andun,
Like,
andun.
I mean,
Akala ko din eh,
may
may
mga
girls
sisipot,
radio,
ang
wala.
galing, ang galing. Ang ganda ng boses, the modulator. Oh, their enunciation is perfect and whatever. But if their
Oh.
attitude is wrong, I immediately tell the our station manager, nope, that guy is not gonna work out. Because I have worked with people who were like
Ah.
that.
Anton.
Mm.
Sorry.
Parang you just have to do it for the right reasons, no?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's very simple. It's very very common sense. And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, eventually you're not gonna be happy, and
Yep.
then you're gonna move
True.
and leave the station in a lurch. And
Mhm.
and I'm telling you, sa dami ng mga pumapasok dahil they just wanted a job and then they
Mhm.
leave when they find it, and that's great. Of course, that's fine. Pero minsan masakit eh, parang, oh man, I thought we had a great team now, na nagkakaintindihan tayo and whatever, but you can't argue with, yeah, but that station pays better or this job pays better, and really you
Mhm.
can't argue um with someone trying to make a better life for himself or herself.
Mhm.
Basta kung yung dahilan mo para man-chicks o man-lalaki or whatever, I would go, nope, wrong attitude. Great,
Anton.
you have the talent, but you don't have the right attitude.
Yeah.
I just want to say no, that's not me.
Why?
That's
Plano ni
it.
Anton,
Exactly,
Anyway,
Anton.
going back to
plano ni Anton man-chicks na nangyari. Ano, ako nahanap niya. So,
walang chicks sa graveyard shift eh.
Chicks ka naman
oh,
sa ano sa...
Anton. Anton. Wala
Walang tao.
tayong chicks.
Anyway, so back to NU. So I was a big fan of the Rock Awards growing up. Like I would vote, and then I would always kasi dati sa newspaper yung mga winners eh.
Yeah, right.
Tapos
Yeah.
kinakat ko yun tapos post ko sa wall ko eh. Tapos so my question is, what was your best Rock Awards experience or like your story? Like what went on backstage? The ones that you can share. The ones na pwedeng you.
Okay, for the record, because for the most part sa Rock Awards kasi all the DJs would be part of the production team eh. And I eventually became one of the script writers for the show, right? So that part I really enjoyed, especially with yung the late Direk Coco Jimenez, fantastic director, direction ng Batibot, a lot of TV shows and all of that. Really scary guy. As in sobrang prangka niya. If he doesn't like what you're doing, as in dediretso ka talaga niya. Is that the best that you can do? Yung ganyan.
Oh.
But if you do it right, no, okay yan, ganyan. And I remember writing scripts for the entire show, sending it to him, then babalik yung script with a lot of what do you mean by this? Yung Rock Awards is always irreverent. It's not a formal show. Laging may kalokohan yan. So even if I would write a joke in, he would go, what exactly do you mean by this? Yung ganun. So yung mga behind the scenes ganyan, yung pre-prod, which would be about 6 months before the Rock Awards would happen. That was the best time for me because I was learning a lot eh. Tapos ito si guest. Sino kakausap sa manager niya? Tong bandang to mukhang ayaw ganyan. And trying to help solve those problems was really fun for me. But yung on the night itself, never ako nag-enjoy because I'd have the script here, and then I remember 2-3 years na hindi pa nag-uumpisa yung show, may lalapit na because yung sa Rock Awards minsan we'd have these artista co-presenters which we didn't like, which si Direk Kokoy didn't like, but he understood needed the showbiz angle is needed, whatever ganyan, but he really didn't like it. But kumbaga, well, that's what we have to deal with. Okay, let's roll with it. Ganyan. So I'd have the clipboard in one hand and going, nandiyan na ba si so and so, and then to have a a talent manager go, sino susulat ng script? Paano kasi itong talent na to, hindi sila yung talent to tsaka yung talent ko, hindi sila pwede magsama sa ganyan. Of course, we didn't know that, right? We think, itong artista na to, this artista na to would fit
Together.
the joke and ganyan. So on during the show itself, scrambling. Saan ko ilalagay ito ngayon? Dahil sumipot sila, right? Hindi man pwedeng, hindi, wala na.
Tanggalan na lang, yeah.
Right, yep. So you have to reassign, ganyan. And I remember two of those years na ganun. And then I had to perform pa. And then also I had to present an award.
Yeah.
So it's always pakihawak sa gitara ko. Okay, run, play. Run straight back. Ganyan. Ano problema ngayon? And at the end of the day, yung talagang I couldn't really, and there's always technical problems and whatever.
Of course.
But at the end of it, and there've been a couple of really bad. There's been one really bad one. But at the end of the day, pag si Direk Kokoy nakangiti, Kiko, nakaraos na naman tayo. Pag gumanon siya, shit, okay, ganyan. And then we'd watch the footage on TV like everyone else, and we go, shit, hindi halata yung mga all the yung mga muntik ng mga disaster. And that's when I enjoyed it, yung afterwards na yung makita mo na
we did it.
Yung we did, yung parang yung akala ng tao smooth sailing, but it was absolute chaos backstage, running.
Love it.
Running here and there. Kiko, yung next segment, nandiyan na ba si so-and-so? Like, wait, let me ask. Ganyan. O, nasa sa'yo. Wala pa eh. Ano gagawin natin? Babagoy mo na.
Na-imagine ko yung
magulo.
adrenaline rush ng mga tao dun sa stage.
Oh yeah.
Yun yung...
But the pre-prod
Live
was most
events.
exciting. The show itself was extremely stressful, and afterwards, when people show their appreciation that they watched a great show, and well, people would still complain about kung sino yung nanalo. You know, you can't. Wala tayong magagawa dun, and trying to defend the results and whatever. That's par for the course, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
And having said that, when NU shut down, that was one of the first things that I absolutely truly missed. That yearly thing na you know by May of each year nag-uumpisa na yung usap-usapan eh.
Mhm.
So ano nangyari, the past year musically? Okay. So who do we think the guests should be? Ganyan 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 ganyan. And trying to figure it out. Ano yung theme for this year? Because we tried not to repeat ourselves. So you have to think of the bigger concept, and once you have the concept, then you have to think of the budget.
Yes.
Of course,
Of course.
the big boss will go, you know, um, can we make it bigger, but on last year's budget?
No.
Things like that. Yeah.
Ay, naku, nakakamiss ang live events.
Didn't
ah.
someone
Oh,
call the crowd jologs? Alam ko sa someone there's a...
Yeah.
Pero may nakita akong clip eh.
Mm.
May tumawag
What?
na jolog sa crowd.
Wait, was that Diether Ocampo?
That was Diether Ocampo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Pero they're
God.
trying to promote the film, right? Because they have
Yes.
film jologs eh. So
Here's the
parang kailangan
story.
ipasok. Okay, go Wix.
And by the way, di ba
Curious din
minention
ako.
ko kanina that there was one disastrous year, and that was it. That was that disastrous
Oh,
year.
God.
Wow, we all remember it. Ah.
That one.
So ganito yan. Si Diether Ocampo at that time, sikat na artista and whatever, and really a really nice guy.
Mhm.
Regular NU listener, taga Cavite yun eh. Rocker yun, dude.
Okay.
Di ba? Rocker yun. So we give everyone a script, of course. It's more of a guide because the DJs, we encourage everyone. Here's the main joke, but if you can do it better and improvise, go do it. Especially the DJs. And sasabihin lagi ni Direk Coco, you guys can improvise, but watch your guests, your co-hosts, because most of them do not know how to improvise, and they'll probably read the script verbatim. So, kumbaga, ikaw yung guide eh. You're the DJ. You're the guide. You know the stage. So, and si Diether, because he would, visit the station. So, we consider him a friend.
Mhm.
Bait na tao. And then there was that movie around that time nga, yung
Yeah.
Jologs, right?
Yeah.
And then si Diether, without telling anyone, I think he probably
Oh, no.
told si Quark Henares he was gonna improvise. And then ang improvisation niya is, putang ina, ang daming jolog dito. His punchline,
Oh.
but his punchline was, ako yung pinakamalaking jolog dito.
Yeah.
That was his punchline.
Okay.
He never got around to
Masyadong bumilis
delivering the punchline dahil putang ina, ang daming jolog dito, and then everyone just exploded. And of course,
Oh, my
ang
God.
tingin ng audience is, that's Diether Ocampo, poging artista, ganyan-ganyan.
Yeah.
Wala siyang karapatan.
Yeah.
But we knew.
Mhm.
Iba lang yung perception ng tao sa
Ng
kanya.
tao, yes.
And I do believe na when he said, putang na daming jologs dito, and then the crowd reacted not in the way that he was expecting. I think he started shaking, and he realized, shit.
Shit, yeah.
Fucked
Oh,
up.
no.
Fuck.
But his intent,
Dun.
really was to say, ako yung pinakamalaking jolog, to promote the
To
film.
promote
that he
the
was
film.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a gross misunderstanding, extremely bad timing.
Yeah.
So that was a bad night.
Paano nyo kinontrol yung
That was a
crowd?
really bad night. Huh?
Paano nyo na-control yung crowd?
With great difficulty.
Shit.
Tanda ko pa. Okay.
Oh.
And
I
of
think
course si
Ooh.
Diether artista, and then the aftermath was the showbiz press. Um, ang sama nung reviews. Yung kumbaga inanyayahan na nga yung mga artista tapos binastos pa ganyan.
Mhm.
Si Christopher Min said something like that on Channel 2 or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of hurtful. When the show ended, because sobrang chaotic na, there was a huge crowd of people na natira. Tapos the show was over. Tapos ang dami pa ring tao. And dahil sobrang gulo nila, they were beginning to, and sobrang tension after that
Shit.
moment. Sobrang bigat ng tension. You could feel riot yung mangyayari. And I remember, tapos na yung show, and people were beginning to rush the stage to get
Oo.
yung backdrop, yung mga styrofoam cutouts and whatever, to get a fucking souvenir. And I was so stressed out and was so agitated. Tong liit na to, I jumped in front of the fire. Mga putang ina nyo, gusto nyo ba mamatay? And then, for some reason, hundreds of people just stopped.
Yeah. That's
Anong
you.
putang ina? Anong gusto nyo mangyari? Teka mo, gusto nyo ba, makagulo, bumagay, gusto mo mamatay ka, putang ina nyo, bumalik kayo. And then they stepped back. And the most hurtful thing was, after that, I read a review by someone who was there, member of the press, who rocker siya,
Mhm.
was a girlfriend of a rock musician, and criticized me. And people just wanted to get a souvenir, and why was I being an asshole for stopping them?
What?
And that was really hurtful for me. Yung parang alam mo, the Rock Awards and New 107 being a rock station, we do it, you know, we don't encourage chaos as much as rock and roll should be
Mhm.
fun and wild and ganyan, but within reason pa rin right?
Mhm.
So I felt really hurt when she wrote that na parang we're not here to invite anarchy, and by the way, yung nangyari was disastrous. That was a disastrous night.
Yes.
So that's a really long story, Anton. I'm really sorry, but you made me dredge up some
That's
Well,
crazy.
it
what I
was
thought were buried memories, pero masarap
Bumalik lahat.
ikwento rin. Sorry.
Sorry.
Anton was expecting something
Oh no.
juicy. Ang nakuha, stress.
Yeah. It could have been juicy, the Diether story, but really he was not given the chance to deliver his punchline because I don't know, mali din yung I don't know. He could have delivered it a little better.
Yung setup ng punchline, sir,
Yeah.
medyo mali.
Yeah, the setup was wrong So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pag sa joke talaga, kailangan mo talaga siyang i-build up ng maayos.
yeah, and he did not build it up well.
Yeah.
And
Tas may mura pa
really,
eh.
he's a
Yeah.
really he's a really nice he's a really
no.
nice guy. He didn't mean what people at that time thought he meant. He absolutely did not
Yeah.
mean it that way.
And also, sir, a question nga pala. On stage at the time, there was a band playing ba or about to play at the time when he was there?
About to play.
Was it Greyhounds ba or Slapshot?
I don't know
I
if it
forgot.
was. I don't know if it was Greyhound, Slapshot, or Queso.
Kasi
Unfortunately,
No.
rin,
Gusto mo mabigat,
one
no?
of the
Diba?
there was one of I don't want to stir up some beef that's
Mm.
basically patay na, but I remember watching the show afterwards, and then ginatungan pa nung isang banda,
that's what I
Jones
recall.
daw, ganyan.
That's
But
what I recall. Yeah.
then again, to be fair,
Mm.
they didn't know that
Yeah, they
that's
didn't
not what nobody knew right? So if ever yung bandang yun are watching right now, all of us did not understand. I didn't understand until after. So but the bad thing was nagatungan dahil yun nga, again yung perception dun sa kay
Yeah.
Diether and I think that's the most unfortunate thing, that perception na ikaw artista ka, wala kang karapatan to be here, and that's really an oversimplification of how we perceive celebrities or whatever it is. And of course kami, we knew that because naging kaibigan namin, but it's not like we're gonna go on, on air and go, well, Diether Ocampo's my friend, we're
Yeah.
not gonna do that.
Parang
Fucking
yung sa'yo lang
should
din, Kicks
impress.
Parang yung sa'yo lang din, Kicks. Na parang yung, kasi hindi ko pa kilala ng mga tao, so takot sila sa'yo. So baka ganun yung kay Diether, parang hindi
Yeah,
rin
yung
kilala si Diether.
yeah, and it's really comfortable to simplify people like that, because in reality naman yung daily life is complicated enough as it is, right?
Mhm.
Dapat ikaw na lang yung nag-joke eh. Hindi siya nagalit pag ikaw yung nagsabi.
Yeah, if I did that joke, I would have grabe, ang dami jolog or something like that,
Nako.
I'm not shaming gay people or whatever,
Mhm.
but yung
Yung
ano kasi
delivery.
yung, I think yung atake ni, now we're analyzing a moment.
Aggressive ata.
moment.
Deep dive.
A deep dive into
The
Yeah,
B-side.
this
Deep dive.
might help us with our podcasts, right?
Mhm.
Yung the way he attacked it kasi was yung confrontational, yung
very
Aggressive.
aggressive.
and I think he
Yeah.
should have been he should have also been, I think he was self-aware din naman
Mhm.
of na people didn't know that,
Mhm.
that he was a rock guy, but he should have gone na masyadong deep dive eh.
Kaya sa. Basta sayang yung moment.
Deep dive
Sayang yung
into
moment.
Sayang yung
Diether.
moment.
It could have been a moment of I wouldn't say redemption dahil it would have been a moment of ay tropa pala si Diether, right? It could have been that but the way it was delivered lang, basta sayang lang. Ryan Agoncillo was also one of the co-presenters that time,
Mhm.
and even people, Ryan, well, dude, one of the nicest guys in the world, right? Maski artista. And then, dahil artista, people were giving him the finger. And between scenes, you know what Ryan did? Gumanon siya. Anong ginawa ng tao? Oh, respeto.
Yeah.
He was able to give
Yeah.
back. Oh, yung ginagawa niyo, dude, okay lang yan. And then, okay. Then people
Nabaw-
left him alone.
Nabawi naman ni Diether sa Jackie Rocha eh. So, feeling ko naman,
Eh,
like with the role. I don't know.
Yeah. But
So, it's nice
Well,
to know though,
timing-
kasi I had no idea. Like
yeah.
I heard about that in high school. Ngayon ko na nalaman yung katotohanan.
Oh God.
Yeah. Because it was a big story, especially for like yung my classmates, yung mga rockers din, diba? They talked about it like all week.
Yeah. It was
That's it.
a huge misunderstanding. And I don't know what Diether Ocampo's up to now. I haven't seen him in years. Obviously he doesn't have a career now. He's probably successful doing something else.
Yeah, doing something else.
I
Probably.
have no reason to defend him now. If I was, I'm just telling the truth that he made a mistake and he was not given the chance to deliver the punchline. And also, it's his fault. He did not know the proper way to deliver that joke.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because
Can you
he's not a
imagine
comedian.
like every night, like before he goes to bed, sa mirror, Jologs! Jologs!
Flashbacks na
Midnight,
PTSD.
midnight.
But yeah,
When he wakes up, he screams.
he'd still visit after that time, and we'd bump into each other. And he parang wala, kumbaga, what happened.
That's cool.
Ay, nako. Masyado na napapaganda yung kwentuhan natin tungkol sa mga nangyari. Anton? Do you have
Kasalanan ni
something to
Anton
say?
yan.
Si Anton talaga may kasalanan.
Sorry, wala na.
Sinimulan ni Anton.
Sabi, isa
Anton,
lang nga yung question ko. Ang
Ikaw
dami.
talaga.
That's what you get, Anton.
That's what you get for asking
That's what you get.
questions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing us into that space in your heads about radio and podcasting and for the tips and everything. We'd like to invite you to share your socials, your podcasts, para naman aware yung mga tao how to contact you or listen to your podcast and whatnot. Carlos, you want to go ahead and go first?
Oh, okay. So for me, on Spotify, it's the Ramble Rouser podcast, Spotify and YouTube, chances are. And you could follow me on social media at It's Carlos Really. For some reason, yung Facebook ko medyo sira yung link niya. So it's at Really Carlos. Facebook.com/ It's Really Carlos. I don't know why. It's like that. And I also be streaming after I fix my room. It's under renovation. Twitch.tv/ It's Carlos Really. I'm gonna be streaming some games. So we'll see how that goes. And thank you for having me. Sir Kicks,
Thank
take it
you.
away.
Sorry, wait lang. Dapat ginawa mong It's Really Carlos Really.
Hindi na kasha, pero I'll try it.
Oh, pwede
I'll
yun.
try it
It's
later.
really Carlos.
It's really Carlos Really. Sige, subukan ko mamaya. Kung kasha. Kung kasha.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Mine is there's Toaster Roast on. Well, currently it's on Facebook. Again, we're retooling. That's why Jensen, sorry, ikaw yung first guest dapat, but we're kind of retooling everything. But if anyone's interested in submitting demos to be critiqued musically and otherwise, because my co-host Kim Marvilla, she handles, like, for example, bakit wala kayong YouTube page, or bakit yung Instagram page nyo has nothing to do with your music, your marketing stuff. That's what Kim does. Just go to the Toaster Roast Facebook page. If you want to see pictures of Godzilla or my guitars or whatever I feel like
Nice.
posting on my Instagram or on my public Facebook page, because really I just do those things just for fun. Hindi ko kinakarir, and people have been telling karirin mo na yan, but no, I just share what I feel. So if anyone's interested, on Facebook it's Francis Brew, on IG it's Francis Brew also. Twitter din, I'm not very active on Twitter. I'm more of a lurker sa Twitter. Actually, I'm the worst example of someone who has social media pages, because I would love to monetize them, but I really need a manager for that. Dahil I'm terrible at marketing myself. I'm terrible at business. I just enjoy playing music and talking about music and sharing, little thoughts
Yan.
here and there. But ask me anything, I'm very willing to answer almost anything, as proved by this interview and other interviews that I've done. Marami akong kwento if you ask me, but I won't. I'm not gonna volunteer the story. If you think there's a story that you guys think that I might have, I'm more than happy
meron
to share a
akong
story.
quick one
Yeah.
na story with Kiko. Marami kaming story ni Kiko, pero ito yung pinaka nakakatawa na naalala ko immediately. Yung naalala mo yung Coke Studio. Yung Coke. Yung Coke Studio. Magsama kami ni Kiko kasi
No, nothing bastos.
may libreng alak. So, doon sa events. Kami ni Kiko, galing kami opisina. Tapos yun tayo, ganyan. Tapos may lumapit sa akin. Because like during that time, I was part of the first season.
Yeah.
So,
And I was there, I think, to cover it because of Billboard. For Billboard Philippines. That's why I was asking about si Trico, because Trico was one of our writers at that time.
So, yun. So may lumapit sa akin. Tapos nagka-picture siya. Tapos lumapit sa kay Kiko after. Pero Tinawag na si Kiko, Sir Noel, as in Noel Kabangon.
Lumilipas ng
Kasi
panahon.
si Noel, part din siya nung season 1. So,
Yeah.
parang, tapos si Kiko, hindi niya kinorek. So, nagpa-picture. So,
Parang, sige. Okay.
Tapos, di ba, the next day, pinost niya,
Oh God.
pinost niya sa
nakatag
social
si
media.
Noel.
Sa Noel Kabangon. So, parang tayo na hassle.
Hindi ko alam na pinost niya yun, yung that guy.
Oh my
Hindi, paano kasi,
God.
no, because okay, in case you guys aren't aware, I mean, you guys must be blinded. I mean, yung facial hair namin ni Noel are in the same spot.
Mm.
We're both follically challenged. We kind of have the same yung
Yeah.
expression eh.
Tapos nakasalamin kayo pareho.
So, yeah. We both play, of course, I can't sing as well as him. And that story is common eh. Basta, hindi, tanda ko pa eh, nasa pila tayo.
Mhm.
Si Noel that night was wearing a black
Yeah.
leatherish jacket type thing. And I was kind of wearing a blackish jacket,
Yung dark denim.
basta dark.
Yeah.
Walking around, kita tayo. Taka na, inom tayo. Ganyan. Tapos, right before nagpakuha ng picture sa'yo yung guy. Sinabi ko pa sa'yo eh, putang ina. Nakatingin din sa akin. Putang ina. I'm willing to bet. Akala niya si Noel Cabangon ako. Tingnan natin. Tapos nung lumapit, sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Called it.
It's not, and by the way, that's not the first time. There was another time. Sorry, wala nang kinalaman sa podcast nito. I just wanted to share it. Sa naman, sa Route 196 naman. I was just there to watch a gig. Daming tao, ganyan. Tumingin sa akin. Tapos yung ngiti, parang, I mean, truth be told, look, the Dawn may be an iconic band, but not everyone knows us. But Noel Cabangon, I think, everyone knows. So yung tingin sa akin ng guy,
mukhang hindi the
too young
Dawn fan.
to know about the Dawn, but not too young to not know who Noel Cabangon is. Sir Noel.
Panahon.
Pero
And then,
hindi mo sila kinokorek.
I have two more stories, by the way. Sorry.
Go.
Share.
Sige. I want to know this.
Elements Camp. I don't know. Wait. Ano batch ka ba sa Elements?
Batch 5.
Saan yun? Sa
Dumaguete pa.
Dumaguete, di ba?
Sa 6.
Kabatch mo si Andrew Depano.
Hindi, batch 4 ata si Andrew.
Okay, iyon. Dahil I think si Andrew yung nagkamali or someone who looks like him yung batch 4. Yung Elements Music Camp, I was there as a journalist. I was writing for Yahoo Philippines. And of course, si Noel is Noel Cabangon yan, come on. Mentor siya, right? So yung batch 4, by that time, 3rd Elements Camp ko na sa Dumaguete. So, alam ko na yung mga talks, alam ko na yung mga module, ganyan. So nandun si Odi Himora talking about yung the business side of the music industry, yung the casting couch and all of that. So it was like, okay, alam ko na yan. And I know it happens, and I heard it last year, ganyan. Dahil the other modules kasi were about music, like music theory and arrangement, ganyan. The showbiz side, I've seen it. Okay. So punta lang ako sa pool. I'm gonna order a beer. Kumbaga, I know na what to write. Parang beer lang ako sa gilid. Tapos nakita ko, nag-disperse na. Okay. Sige, break sila. Tapos may lumapit sa akin. Sir. Yes. Ano po yung organization na na minention nyo kanina. Gusto namin sa Diether. Sabi ko, kanina, anong organization? Tapos yung tingin sa akin, yung parang, what the fuck is this guy? Si sir, kakasalita lang 30 minutes ago. Anong organization? Sir, yung OPM, yung organization. Hindi ako si Noel Cabangon. Then he stepped back.
Oh.
Ay, sorry sir, ganyan. Nasagot, no, it's okay. Sari na ako dyan, ganyan.
Oh my God.
The next day naman, I ordered a beer from the bar, pale pilsen, and si Noel also drinks pale pilsen. So ganyan. So sabi ko, bayaran ko na lang pag check out. So just give me the voucher, I'll sign for it. Inabot sa akin yung voucher. Noel Cabangon. Hindi ako si Noel. We share the same number nung cottage, but siya na lang singilin nyo. Dahil
Madami yung
Success. Uno reverse.
This is the ultimate story. Sorry.
Go
Wala,
lang.
Napaano na ako dahil inuubos ko na yung soju ko Lasing na ako, so sobrang galing.
Go.
I promise this is the last one. On my way to work years ago, normally I bring my guitar sa billboard to Brought my guitar. Probably on my way to a gig after the day. Sakay sa taxi, ganyan. Predictably, so nagigitara ka, yes. Obvious ba, may gitara ako.
Props lang yun.
Sir, ikaw ba si Noel Cabangon? Okay, fine. Sir, hindi. Kaibigan ko si Noel. Alam ko magkahawig kami dahil sa... Pero hindi ako si Noel. Okay, sir. So, nagbabanda ka. Gitara ka, sir. I didn't volunteer the dawn or whatever. You know, if they mention mukhang kamukha niyo sa... Then I talk about it.
Yeah.
But if they don't bring up the band, I don't bring it up.
Okay.
So, hindi, pero ganyan. Then started talking about music and tapos through the, yung sa rear view mirror, ganyan. 10 minutes talking about music and the local music scene. Tapos, yung tingin niya sa side mirror talaga. Sa rear view mirror. Pero, paano kasi sir? Kamukha mo talaga si Noel Malay mo, ikaw talaga yun. Forcing me to admit na ako si Noel Cabangon. Sir, hindi talaga ako si Noel Cabangon. Maniwala kayo, hindi po. Sorry na lang.
Oh my God.
Parang,
Baka di mo alam.
baka hindi mo alam. Hindi nga Ano na lang, murahan.
Identity crisis.
Kailangan lumisan.
Am I?
Panahon. Na-imagine ko talaga like during those moments, whenever there's like the Noel Cabangon moment, the reveal, like that would actually play in the background. Panahon.
Ganda lang yung...
Or just segments sa show.
And actually, whenever we see each other, the last time I saw him sa Robinson's Magnolia, went to Uniqlo, malapit sa akin, ginagawa mo rito. Andali lang, bro. Kailangan gawin natin to
Naalala ko.
On his phone, I think may 3-4 na picture na kami na whenever we see each other na it's kind of a ritual that we have to do it.
Proof of lives.
Ayan. Kaya parang...
Yeah, proof of lives. Kami yung original Ben and Ben.
Oh my God.
I love it. Oh my
Anyway, sorry. Wala na ka na idea. Just, ang sarap lang makipagkwentuhan
That was great.
Ang saya na tong sana magkaroon tayo ng part 2 na episode na kasama natin si Kiko at si Carlos kasi it's gonna be
Yan, puro chismis lang.
Yeah. Yung kwentuhan lang. Kasi B-side naman kasi with this podcast naman as in anything goes na rin din talaga.
Yes.
Meron lang kaming talking points but like bahala na, rock na to. Ganyan. So, ayun. Pero ito, okay. Kung gusto niyo like, yung sinasabi ni Francis kanina, kung gusto niyo po i-manage yung kanyang social media, i-contact niyo po siya. At
Oh,
solid
wag si
yun.
wag si Noel Cabangon na kontakin niyo.
Baka si Noel ko ba yung contact mo?
Umayos kayo.
Nakasulat po yung pangalan at saka Twitter handle at saka Instagram handle sa baba. So,
Oh
ayun.
my goodness.
Again,
Thank you
sorry,
so
nakainom
much.
na ako. Ang haba nung kwento.
It's fine.
It's about,
we had
if it's about me, it has
fun.
nothing to do with the subject. But sorry, nakainom na
Ano?
ako. Kilala ko
It
rin
was
Jensen. Pag nakainom ako,
fun.
I had
Dire-diretso
fun.
na yan.
This is great. Damn.
Masaya. Thank you so much, Sir Kiko and Carlos. We'd love to have you guys again. Ay,
Part 2,
that
part
was
2.
fun. Of course, yes.
it would be nice to do this ng harap-harapan, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do
That's
it.
the dream.
Ay, natuwa ako.
Wala. Ikaw lang yung wala pa.
Tapos Carlos, doon natin kakwento yung fear natin kay.
Oo.
I need human
Kay Puff
interaction.
Daddy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
what is
the
what
Puff
is what
Daddy
is this?
Chronicles.
Wait, what is kanina pa yung Puff Daddy?
Tuloy na natin to.
What is that? Ano ba yan?
Oh, ano ba
Ay,
yan?
Kanina pa kayo.
Very-
natin.
You know, I feel so OP na OP ako parang
Okay.
I don't know
Oo.
either. I don't know
So,
either.
okay.
Silang dalawa lang eh.
So,
No?
may story din pala ako. Kami ni Anton. Ayan.
Okay.
Anyway, 2015, Anton and I, we had, our shifts, I was after Anton. He was 12 to 3, I was 3 to 6. So what do we usually do to keep ourselves sane aside from, smoke like a pack of cigarettes and Red Bull and coffee, diba? Of course, we talk about, different artists. We come up with our own head canon eh. Kumbaga, kung ano nangyayari talaga sa mga taong to eh. So syempre, 'di ba, merong issue na alleged ba Anton o okay,
This is
allegedly.
when came out. When I think Straight Out of Compton came out.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
when medyo
Yeah.
yung issue
Yeah,
na.
so 'di ba, allegedly kasi, 'di ba? Like si Tupac pinatay ni Puff Daddy. Yeah, sino
Talaga?
di ba?
Okay.
Allegedly. So we were talking about that and I bring up din si Suge Knight for some reason, I don't know. Tapos yeah.
Which is
So
a fucking criminal talaga si
Yeah.
Anton's like, oh, Carlos is gonna get you with his syringe full of AIDS. Yung mga ganun. Nagtatakutan lang kami basically. Kasi, it's like 2 a.m., di ba? So like every day, like anything we could reference. Parang Anton's like, Carlos, may nakita ka ba sa elevator? Wala, bakit?
It's Puff.
It's Puff Daddy.
And then every time I play Puff Daddy song, as soon as I off the mic, I just whisper, murderer. Killer. Until this day, it became like a running joke. No matter what happened, if I send Carlos an article about something random, Carlos will go, it's Puff Daddy behind that. It's gonna be.
and recently Anton saw the
Yeah.
South Park episode of Puff Daddy's Vote or Die, diba? So tawa siyang tawa kasi diba, stuff happening lately. So kumbaga Puff Daddy is he's the undying connection Anton and I have. And he
Sobrang
probably will,
random yung episode na yun eh.
yeah,
He popped out, he doorbelled on the door, I think, of Stan. Tapos sabi na kasi ni Stan and goes, Puff Daddy. And he's like, basta may long speech.
yeah,
Tapos sa ending
it's
speech,
the
vote or
importance
die.
of voting. Yeah. It's just yeah. So yeah, Puff Daddy is gonna be, he's never gonna die because we actually think he's a demon. So
Wait, anong season yung South Park
Nights.
yung because actually I haven't watched South Park in decades. The last one I watched was Idaho. Yung si
Mr. Hanky.
the president.
You smell an awful lot like flowers.
Oh, God.
Yung ba yung dad? Favorite ko yung dad ni Stan eh. Like may episode na siya pala si Lord.
Oh yeah.
May episode na
Oh
siya.
my God.
Siya pala si tatay ni Stan si Lord. Kasi yung Lord na singer ha.
Yeah.
Yung parang, fuck, ang labo nito, gago.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone talaga, like yung mga utak
guys-
nila, di mo alam.
That's
Meron
why
pa sila
I
yung
don't love
Tooth Fairy eh.
There-
Parang may underground thing happening with the Tooth Fairy business na nagko-collect lang sila ng teeth. Tapos may mafia pala behind it trying to get cash.
Have you guys seen yung documentary? Yung I saw it years ago. Eh. I'm trying to look for the title, but it yung behind the scenes, 1 week before they come up with an episode. It starts
Mm.
off yung opening. They produced a musical yung about Mormons or something.
Mhm. Yeah, naalala ko 'to.
Book of Mormon.
Yun.
The Book of Mormon. Yeah.
Yeah. So ganyan. So they're receiving awards and whatever. Tapos immediately after that, yung pinakita, because basically yung South Park, they basically have a week to come up with an episode. Tapos makikita mo talaga si Trey Parker really stressed out, talagang pacing back and forth. They're trading jokes and that's not funny, ganyan. Tapos si Bill Hader was there because Bill Hader is one of the writers.
Mm.
Tapos tawa lang na tawa si Bill Hader. As in, the hour that they're supposed to broadcast, yung ipapadala yung tape until that very last fucking minute.
Oh no.
As in yung editing and whatever. And nakalimutan ko yung title ng docu na yun eh.
Mhm.
It's stressful pero grabe yung and yung that week was dedicated to the episode about the human centipede.
Oh.
Oh, I
And-
remember that.
And what led to that yung proseso, and even before that yung parang we have this idea, the human centipede, and then they were going, okay, that part's not funny, ganyan. No, it's not working ganyan. Tapos si Trey Parker yung mukha niya talaga, as in hindi mo may
Stressed
pinta,
na.
sobrang stressed out na kept pacing back and forth eh. Look for that docu because it's also it's also comforting in the sense that when you're trying to look for content
Mhm.
for for whatever it is that we do,
Mhm.
Yep.
knowing that these people who we assume that they have everything figured out and everything everything is funny and social commentary lagi. It's actually not that easy for them
Yes.
either. It's nakaka-relax at their expense, right? But it's a nice thing to watch na the process of creating something is sometimes it happens in a snap. You
Yeah.
have an idea, ito yun. And then the song and the episode happens just like that. And there's just times where here's a great idea, here's a great concept, and it takes you forever to actually know that at the end of it, kung ano man yung initial inspiration mo, na-achieve mo at the end of it,
Yep.
right? Nakalimutan ko yung title, but try to look for it. It's
I think I find.
and actually kailangan ko ngayon yun. I'm telling you guys because I'm reminding myself.
Yeah. Hindi, seryoso kasi ganun din yung pinagdaanan ko making this, like, because I'm putting out an album. So, ganun
Hindi ko
siya.
napakinggan yung 3 songs sorry.
Yeah,
Jensen,
go lang.
but tinapos ko lang itong stressful project.
Ang bilis.
It's
Ang bilis
that
ang
whole process of it. So, parang nakakabaliw siya talaga.
Yeah.
Pero, sometimes, like, the words come through you.
Right.
Pero
yeah.
sometimes wala eh. May days na wala. Ito.
Wow, Anton, ang bilis. Bilis, Anton.
Bilis ni Anton eh.
FBI.
Sabi ko,
Nilig ni Anton, nilig ni
Gusto ko,
Anton.
di ko makita eh.
Parang yung hot girl finder mo dati sa Play FM.
Diba? Ang bilis niya. Ayan. Kicks nandito sa chat yung, yung YouTube link.
Oh my
Yung
goodness.
docu.
Okay, great.
Ayan.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Hanap niya.
Papanoorin natin lahat yan.
Watch party na lang.
Mhm.
Hot girl.
Yeah, watch party na lang tayo. Reaction video na lang.
Reaction video.
Oh my God.
Ayun, yan na. Bago humaba pa ang usapan natin. Thank you so much, Sir Kiko, Carlos. We
Thank you.
can't
I
extend more
apologize.
than 5 hours. Ito na yun.
Nakalima na ba? Oh shit, okay.
Joke lang.
Yeah.
Ayun,
Magagawa pa natin
for the
part two.
episode today, thank you so much to Off the Record for, trusting us for this podcast. And follow our socials, facebook.com/P-Side of Things Podcast. Instagram, that's at P-Side of Things Podcast. Our personal accounts, at alias Lana for me.
At
Jensen,
underscore
I am
Anton
Jensen
Defend.
Gomez.
yun.
Nax.
Tapos,
Wala bang really
underscore
I am
Anton
Jensen Gomez,
Molina.
really?
Really?
Yeah, boy. Join the really club, yo.
Yeah, boy.
Really?
Bye. Sorry.